I kind of accidentally ended up creating this brand new kind of digital product called an experience product that was able to achieve just radically different results because it takes care of job number one first, which is getting and keeping attention. So the experience product engages 10 to 30 times more students and keeps them focused on you, just like you're the hottest new app or game on the market. And it gets a 30 to 90% success rate among students compared to the industry average of just 3 to 5% for traditional courses. And this new kind of course can actually generate its own word of mouth referrals simply because students are in love with achieving their goals and they credit you for all of it. And they send their friends to you as well. And this new kind of course generates so much more in back-end repeat sales because of these organic referrals, getting you off that marketing treadmill and freeing you from the overwhelm, the exhaustion, and the confusion of what to do next. So that's what we've seen in our business and those of our students. And when you make student success job number one, you're going to find that everything will change for you in your business. And for us, this meant a 66% increase in profits the very first time we tried it. In fact, a small group of 128 students actually turned into over $700,000 in revenue. And since then, our results have just continued to grow. And it's been like that for pretty much anyone who's willing to follow steps in this viral product checklist, or what I like to call the experience formula, which is what I'm teaching you here today. So Troika had $6,500 in sales even before she started marketing. And for Ed, it was almost $24,000 in sales in less than 2 weeks. Arjun and Shober had $25,000 on their first course and almost $30,000 in sales on their second. Carol had $6,000 on her first online course launch, and Patty $9,000 in one day and over $200,000 in less than 18 months. So this is what's possible for you when you implement what you're going to learn today. So to get started, please make sure that you've got a link to the handout, and it looks like this. So the link is on the screen right now, and we're actually dropping this link into the chat box too. So while you go ahead and do that, while you go ahead and download the PDF, I want to tell you what I mean when I use the word viral, because it's super critical that you understand what I'm talking about. And most people think of viral in the going viral sense of just suddenly exploding across the internet and getting a huge amount of attention. Like this guy literally just a few days ago. He's being known as Ocean Spray Guy, and let me know if you've heard of Ocean Spray Guy. So he posted this short video of himself skateboarding on TikTok, drinking ocean spray cranberry juice, and just kind of vibing to Fleetwood Mac. So go ahead, Murray, and play this. So what happened next is amazing. This got millions of views and millions of shares, and Fleetwood Mac made their own video remake of it. And the Ocean Spray Company gave him a free truck filled with their product. Now, this is what most people think of when they think of viral content, but this is impossible to create deliberately. You don't know what's going to hit, and because of that, you can't capitalize on it because the shelf life is just too short, just days in most cases. So here's the Google trend graph for Ocean Spray Guy. It's almost gone just 2 days after it started, right? But when you use the viral product checklist, you can create a better sustainable kind of virality where you'll have more interest, more referrals, and more buzz each and every time you launch your product. It's the kind of virality that you can actually create for yourself, and it's the kind of virality that has the kind of longevity that you can actually capitalize on and build on. And I saw in the chat that someone said, Janine, I believe your examples are exception to the rule. I think it's why most people get frustrated if they don't get those results. Well, that's precisely it, is I'm not talking about that kind of virality. I'm talking about a sustainable virality that instead of peaking and then going down, starts kind of like this, but continues to grow over time. So that's what we're going to be learning today. And that's the kind of virality that I'm talking about right now. It's virality combined with longevity. Okay. So in the last session, we talked about constant wins, future self, unstoppable momentum, which all help to create the viral loops that we need. But as you can see here on the screen, there are actually 7 more experiences on this list that are going to help you amplify it even more. And I'm going to walk you through 2 more of them in detail today: mission and mission accomplished, the first and the last core experience in the experience formula. So some consider these to be two of the most powerful of these experiences because they bookend your experience product. It's the first experience and the last experience that your students will have. So mission with the capital M is where everything starts, and it's the first and most important piece of your experience product because it's going to help you attract and sell to the people most likely to buy from you. You can think of mission as your reason for doing something. It's your deeper purpose. It's a big why that drives you. And anything big or important that you've ever accomplished in your life has always come with this built-in mission that kept you going when the journey got hard. Make sense? When you think back to the times when you didn't make it through, odds are it was because your mission just wasn't strong enough. And when I think back on all the times I tried running, it never became this long-term thing for me because I simply didn't have a big enough mission attached to it. I wasn't training for a marathon. I wasn't trying to improve my cardiac health for my kids. I just had this vague desire to start running, so no surprise that it didn't stick. There was nothing driving me here. And the same is true for your students, clients, and customers. When you don't present them with a big enough mission, it's hard for them to say yes to working with you. And even if they do say yes, it's hard for them to follow through to the end of your program. So keep in mind that missions, they come in different sizes. And some missions are naturally smaller or easier, and for that reason will drive us for shorter periods of time. And the big missions can drive us for a lifetime. But in general, the more important the mission is to us, the more powerfully it's going to drive us. And some of my favorite students have the biggest missions. For Michelle Bongiorno, a social worker from the Bronx, she saw how much anxiety that people carried around, and her life's mission was to help people understand and reduce it so they can feel grounded and stable and effective again. And Arjun was a doctor who watched his father suffer from a massive heart attack. And then he saw the miraculous benefits of diet change. So he and his doctor wife, Shobha, they're on a mission to help people all over the world avoid surgery and health problems and get off medication by changing the way they eat. So as you can see, your life experiences, the things that are important to you and that drive you from your very core, make for powerful missions that can also drive your students. So as you listen to me today, think about what's driving you. What's your mission? What are you here to do or be or make happen in the world? And who are you here to help? What's your mission? It might be a big mission that's going to take your entire life, or it might be a smaller, more focused mission. For my student, Shirley Quamby, her mission is simply to bake the best French pastries that she possibly can. And for anybody else who loves French pastries, I think you'll agree that that does indeed make the world a better place. And my personal mission is to reinvent online education around the world so results and engagement become the norm and not the exception. Because we have the potential here to change people's lives with our courses and programs when you know how to create them in the way that I'm teaching you here today. Now, looking in the chat thread, I see a couple people already are saying what their mission is. So let me see. Nancy says, my mission is to help people change how we relate so we do more of what we want with people we trust and love. Beautiful, Nancy. Thank you so much for doing that. And keep posting your missions or what you think is your mission here in the chat. Sandra says her mission is to empower fiction authors to enjoy producing commercial fiction they can be proud of. For Phil, it's fixing fractured families. So I love this one. So, Shivani says, my mission is to inspire the world to dance. Samantha says, my mission is to empower people to create a life of joy and inner peace. Miriam says, no more crippling shame. Velvet is how to live a freedom-based lifestyle. Kathy, transforming people at will. Guillaume says, I just want to write loads of fiction as I enjoy it so much. Bill says, I'm a running coach. Tell me more about your experience. Love it. And David says, to reduce patient and staff stress in medical facilities. And there's a whole bunch more here too. They're coming in fast and furious, and I wish I could say them all because it's missions like these that will change the world. And you may be wondering what this kind of mission has to do with your online course. And it turns out everything. So first, let's go back once again to our inspiration, the app and game industry. And if you've ever played a video game as a kid, you're going to remember that they all gave you this big mission right from the start. Even before they even let you take any action in the game, there's always a beginning scene to make sure you understand why you're playing the game in the first place. What are you here to do? What's the big why behind the game? So my husband Murray was telling me about one of his favorite arcade games as a kid, which is Karateka, where the mission was literally to rescue the princess. And they literally show you this mission in text as you start the game, and then they show an animation of the princess. And this mission becomes your goal, your why, your purpose for the entire game, which drives you to put in the hours and hundreds of quarters until one day you finally win the game. The mission they gave you literally helped drive you until you achieved it. And it's the same with every successful game ever made. In Fortnite, your mission is to be the last player standing in this battle royale against all your friends and even strangers from around the world. And here's a kid who won $16 million in a worldwide Fortnite playoff last year. So what do you say? That mission has brought Fortnite to a whopping $2.4 billion a year in sales. Now, Dance Dance Revolution, your mission is to become a dance superstar, which gives you bragging rights and some moves that you can bust out and show off in the arcade. And yes, that's why you can find 6.5 million Dance Dance Revolution units in arcades around the world. Now, Pokemon Go, which started it all for me, is the mission there is to catch all the Pokemons, especially the rare and unusual ones. And when you do, you get the satisfaction that comes along with ownership, which is why there are so many games that involve collecting and accumulating. And then that mission actually drove Pokemon Go to $832 million in sales in a single year. So is this making sense? Let me give you some non-game examples. Duolingo is the world's most successful language learning app. And your big and obvious mission is to learn another language. And you know you've completed it when you can speak and be understood in that language. But that's a big, big mission. That takes some time. So Duolingo is smart, and they have shorter missions to get to different skill levels too, like learning how to order food from a restaurant, which makes you feel like you're making progress on what can feel like a long path to mastery. Now, what about Tinder? Your mission is to swipe right and find new potential mates and hookups over and over again. And for LinkedIn, it's not just a Facebook wannabe. The mission of LinkedIn is to collect as many high-value business connections as you can. So if a great mission is so effective for getting people into action and keeping them in action, then why don't most traditional online courses have them? And whenever I ask this question, people usually say, well, I never really thought about it, or I've never seen a course do that before. And before we tried it, we'd never thought about it either. And that's precisely why so many courses lose people right from the start. They never give us this mission to commit to. And even worse, it's obvious that the course maker has no idea what the mission is either. And these kinds of courses, they're usually confusing, complex, dense, demotivating, and they're trying to teach you everything they know about a topic. But if you don't know where the finish line is, how can you feel like you're winning? You can't, right? And that's why trying to teach everything you know is a gigantic mistake, because the most motivational missions, the missions that really sell, are the ones where your student can easily imagine themselves crossing a very specific finish line. Just like finishing a marathon, where your student can easily imagine what completing will look like and feel like for them in their life. They see it in their mind's eye. You could even take a picture and have that photo finish the exact moment of crossing the finish line. That's what you want your course finish line to look like. So whether the finish line for you and your course is chatting to an attractive person in fluent Spanish, or getting a compliment from your partner after losing a lot of weight, or becoming the champion of Fortnite, just like completing an actual marathon, these are specific and focused outcomes, and you know with crystal clarity whether you've done them or not. So you can think of that mission of your program like the finish line of your course. And you need to describe for your student exactly what they'll feel or have at that point, exactly what they'll become or achieve through your program. Because here's a secret. This clear, inspiring finish line is what your customers are really saying yes to. It's not your content. It's not your membership site. It's not your Facebook group. They are saying yes to a specific promise, a result, or an outcome. In other words, they're saying yes to the mission of your program.